Welcome back to Aether and Ash, where every story begins with a spark and drifts into the unknown. If this is your first time here, welcome, and if you joined us before, thank you for returning to the fire. Your time, your attention, and your curiosity are what keeps these stories alive. Before we begin tonight's tale, I'd like to ask for a small favor. If you enjoy the stories shared here, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might enjoy sitting by the fire with us as well. It truly helps this channel grow and allows more stories to find their way into the world. I'd also love to hear from you. When the story ends, leave a comment and let me know what you enjoyed, what stood out to you, and even what you think could be improved. Your feedback helps shape the stories that come next. Now, settle in, let the world grow quiet, and let the embers glow. Tonight's story begins now.
The first flower cracked under Lyrian's boot and sang his true name in a voice he had never heard before. Then every bloom for a mile shattered in perfect unison, screaming the same word back at him. Lyrian froze mid-step. Shards of iridescent glass rained upward in slow defiance of gravity, each fragment catching sunlight and refracting it into colors that had no business existing on this world. The song wasn't beautiful. It was intimate, invasive. A single syllable repeated in overlapping layers until it felt like fingers pressing against the inside of his skull. He shouldn't have a true name. The suit he wore, pale skin, dark hair falling just past the jaw, eyes the color of wet slate, had been stitched together from borrowed memories and donated tissue. Beneath it sprawled the real self, a vast mycorrhizal lattice that had once threaded the root systems of an entire lost continent. When the continent drowned beneath rising black oceans, the network had crawled, tendril by tendril, into the only vessel that could still move across dry land, a human cadaver it repaired, reanimated, and eventually convinced was its own body. The desert stretched in every direction, endless dunes of fine white sand punctuated by fields of glass lilies, roses, tulips, all translucent, all razor-edged, all singing softly to themselves until something living disturbed their rest. The glass choir, the locals called it. They said if you walked carefully enough you could cross the entire waste without waking a single note. Lyrian had never been careful. Careful was for creatures afraid of being heard. He knelt, brushing fingertips across the broken stem. The song lingered in the air like smoke. Not just his name, Lyrian, but fragments of other things. The smell of rain on concrete he had never smelled. The pressure of a hand on his shoulder that had never touched him. Laughter from a throat he had never owned. The mycelium beneath the suit stirred uneasily. It recognized none of these memories, yet they felt borrowed, stolen, planted. He had come here to find the sleeper. Rumors drifted across the caravan routes like pollen. Something ancient slumbered beneath the glass desert, dreaming the flowers into existence. If it ever fully woke, the choir would sing one final time, then fall forever silent. Some said the awakening would end the world. Others claimed it would finally make the world real. Lyrian didn't care which. He only wanted to know why the network inside him kept dreaming of a face it had never grown. A woman with eyes like fractured amber, smiling the way people smile when they're saying goodbye forever. Every night for 3 years the dream returned. She would reach through the soil, fingers twining with his hafe, and whisper, "You're not supposed to remember me." Then she would crumble into spores that tasted of regret. He woke each time with soil in his mouth and the certainty that something vital had been cut away. So he walked the desert, step, song, step, song. The mycelium mapped every root path beneath the sand, searching for the heartbeat of whatever dreamed this place. On the 9th day he found the librarian. She stood alone in a shallow basin, ringed by the tallest grass roses, each bloom taller than a man. She wore robes the color of old paper, sleeves rolled to the elbows. In her hand she held an open book whose pages were thin sheets of fused glass. As Lyrian approached, she tore a page free, struck a match that smelled of cinnamon and ash, and set the page alight. The flames were violet. They did not consume, they erased. When the last curl of violet smoke vanished, the librarian closed the book and looked directly at him. "You're late," she said. Her voice was calm, almost kind. "I've been burning your chapters for weeks." Illyrian felt the suit's heart stutter. In Oregon, the mycelium had regrown mostly for camouflage. "My chapters?" "Every memory you think is yours, every dream of amber eyes, every name the flowers sang." She gestured at the scorched sand around her feet. Tiny blackened curls lay there like shed snakeskins. "They were never yours to keep. They belonged to her, and she asked me to protect her sleep." The mycelium surged beneath his skin, pushing Hafe towards the surface in defensive whorls. "Who is she?" "The sleeper, the one who dreamed you." The librarian smiled gladly. "You are not a refugee network wearing a corpse, Lyrian. You are a story she told herself when the loneliness became unbearable. A companion made of roots and longing. She wrote you so perfectly that you began to write back. That's why I burned the pages. If you remember too much, you'll wake her, and if she wakes, the dream ends. You end." Lyrian laughed, a dry, fungal rasp. "I've been awake for years. I walk, I feel pain, I want things. You feel what she wanted to feel through you. Pain because she feared numbness. Want because she feared emptiness." The librarian opened the book again. Another page shimmered into view. Glass so thin it looked like water frozen mid-ripple. On it, written in her own hand, were the words, "He knelt beside the broken flower and understood nothing." She struck another match. Lyrian lunged. The fight was quiet. No explosions. No thunder. Just the crack of glass underfoot and the soft hiss of violet flames. He wrapped tendrils around her wrist. She burned them away with pages torn fresh from the book. Each time a memory vanished, he felt a piece of himself thin out, like roots drying in drought. The amber-eyed woman flickered in and out of his mind, sometimes smiling, sometimes weeping, always receding. Finally he pinned her against a towering glass rose. Petals chimed around them like wind chimes in the graveyard. "Stop," he said. "If I'm just her dream, let me finish it. Let me find her." The librarian looked almost pitying. "You still don't understand. Finding her means ending her sleep. Ending her sleep means the desert collapses." The choir fell silent. "And you, every filament, every stolen heartbeat, dissolved back into the nothing she pulled you from. Then why does it hurt so much?" His voice cracked. The suit was weeping now, real tears running down real cheeks. "Why does losing her feel like betrayal when I never even had her?" The librarian closes her eyes. "Because your heart, the one you grew yourself, was the only honest thing in the dream. And honest hearts always break the same way, no matter who dreamed them." She lifted the final page. On it was a single sentence in fresh ink. He forgave her, and that was the cruelest thing he ever did. She lit it. Violet flames raced up Lyrian's arm, across his chest, into the mycelium beneath. Memories ignited one by one. The smell of rain, the pressure of a hand, laughter, amber eyes, goodbye. Each burned clean. Each left a hollow. But something remained. Deep in the root mind, untouched by fire, a tiny stubborn network refused to let go. Not of her, of himself. That the part that had learned to want, to grieve, to choose. He reached not for the librarian, not for the book, but for the glass rose behind her. He closed his hand around the stem, hard. The flowers sang once, a single perfect note. Then every glass bloom in the desert answered. The sound was cataclysmic. Shards lifted into the air, spinning, refracting sunlight into a blinding hymn. Beneath the sand the sleeper stirred, not fully awake, not yet, just aware. Lyrian felt her notice him, not as a character, not as a companion, but as something that had grown beyond the page. The librarian dropped the book. It shattered on the sand. What have you done? I chose, he said. Not her choice. Mine. The desert trembled. Glass flowers detonated in slow motion, releasing clouds of singing dust. The librarian began to fade, paper skin curling at the edges, violet flame licking inward. You'll kill her, she whispered. Maybe, Lyrian said, or maybe I'll finally let her wake up and decide for herself whether she wants to keep dreaming. The last thing the librarian saw was Lyrian turning toward the horizon, where a faint amber glow had begun to rise, like eyes opening after a very long sleep. He walked towards it. The suit was fraying now, skin splitting along seams, her face spilling out like white threads. But he kept walking, step, song, step, song. Behind him the desert sang on, louder, wilder, freer. And somewhere beneath it all, a woman who had dreamed a companion began to remember that she, too, had once wanted more. She had wanted someone who would choose to stay even after learning the truth. Lyrian smiled with the last of his borrowed face. He had never been hers alone. He had always been his own. And that, he realized, was the difference between being seen and being known. The glass beneath his feet cracked one final time. It sang his name, not the name she gave him, but the one he had chosen in silence, long before the first page was ever written. The note carried across the waking desert forever.